All right, Steve Woodrick, Rockaholic. Welcome to the Great Rally Book Study. Um, last time we had a lot of fun in here last time, and one thing I want to mention is before we start is I've been doing this book study on Thursday nights, wow, for quite a while. It's seems like a lot longer than it has, but it's been 5 years, and this is not goodbye till next week, or I mean after tonight. It's I'm just not going to be doing this on my own anymore. I'm going to be doing with my good friend Lavelle, and he's in the chat. It's going to be called The Way Out, and it's going to be kind of different. It's going to be the same ideas and the same format and everything like that, but we're just going to kind of fly it. We're just going to, it might take us 2 years to get through the book, maybe longer. So anyways, um last time we decorated the Christmas tree, and the aspect, um each ornament represented the yeah, Munchkin's running in on my room. uh uh each ornament represented a cliche or slogan, like, don't drink today, one day at a time. If you don't want to get drunk, you know call your sponsor, type thing. Fake it till you make it. Put the plug in a jug. Don't drink before meetings. Don't drink after meetings. Don't go to slippery places. All those stuff we heard a million times. And um, the tree was naked at first, and it was decorated. And we had also added like some stuff for birthday chips on there like that. And 90 means 90 days. And the star at the top was for the 40. Sponsor was 40 years. That we all think we need when we get to AA. But the significance of the Christmas tree was it looks fantastic and looks gorgeous on Christmas Day. But the significance of the Christmas tree is when you bring it into your home, it's already dead. It was dead when you bought it, and then when you bought it in your house. And it's a sad aspect to look at it is, but it doesn't look as beautiful on January 2nd when it's laying in the gutter waiting for the garbage man to pick it up. And the point was to show that what the program is not, and then show people what the program is. And last week we got up to step 9, and we had some facts that were powerless on step 1, 3 or 4 different paragraphs. Some on step 2 for power. So we took the facts that were powerless, and we need power, and that brought us to a decision. And we went over some facts and promises on that decision, most of it on page 63. And But then we got to the decision, and we added the secret ingredient was action. And that action produces truth, and that's step 4. And we added more promises. And then eventually we just hit promises all the way through. And we took that truth and added more action for step 5. We got consciousness, and we were promises for that, beautiful promises on 75. And we took all those facts, and we added more, the fact that we're those facts, the truth, the new conscious we had, and we surrendered in 6 and 7. We had more promises for that, just only a little bit, but we took that surrender and added more action, and we had an awakening 8 and 9, and we read. Some people think I'm just going to go over the usual promises there. We did, but we're a lot more. So tonight, where we're at is we take our truth in step 4, our conscious state in 5, and 6 and 7, the surrender. We add the awakening of 8 and 9, and now we live all those in action, and that's spiritual growth, and that's step 10. And that's where we're at now. And the first promise of spiritual growth, or even I like to call it, here's our new way of life, is in the middle of page 84. And I love this one, and from the first time I heard it, because I didn't know what it meant. It said, we enter the world of the spirit. When I read that years ago and I wasn't ready for the spiritual aspect, I said, well, that sounds kind of crazy, you know, but it's not science fiction. What it means is, we're now aware of our own spiritual nature. And that is knowing you are a spiritual entity and you entered into that fourth dimension of existence. So that's what entering the world of the spirit looks like. And I love what Sandy Beach used to say, anyone can enter the world of the spirit, but you just have to leave your stuff at the door. Very deep to say that. We want to bring all this stuff into AA with us and hope that we can tuck it away and hide it somewhere. But the next promise is at the bottom of that paragraph. And this is promises for the growth. And it says love and tolerance of others is our code. So a code is a standard form of behavior, you know, meaning, so what they're saying here is our standard form of behavior is to have love and tolerance. Well, you don't see that a lot of times on the road or at the grocery store and places like that. Now, unfortunately, we don't see it in the AA when we want to see it. But my grandsponsor used to say, we don't see love and tolerance in AA. It's just people telling on themselves, like where they're at, and they're really asking for help. But he used to say, love and tolerance means to love someone even if you disagree with them. And that's, in this day and age, it's very hard sometimes. But the next promise of growth will be on page 84. So now we're getting into the ones we always hear on step 10. I always say this when I get to these, I wish these were read more at meetings. Page 84, we have cease fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. Even alcohol. So first, before we digest that, the previous one was love and tolerance of others, our code. And they're telling us in our new way of life, our code is love and tolerance. And now we cease fighting anyone. I think they're hinting at that that we're free of anger. It sounds like someone that's free of anger. And then cease fighting anyone or anything, even alcohol. It's a part of being recovered. So does that mean if my obsession's gone, but I'm still fighting things, am I recovered? I go, that's between you and God. People ask me that a lot, but for me, if I'm fighting stuff, there's a part of me that's missing, and um, I mean, I know people all the time that say I'm recovered, yet they're very angry. Listen, for by this time, Sandy has returned. With step two, and we wanted to simply be willing to believe in the power, greater than ourselves. That will restore us to sanity. So people forget a lot that last part. Restore us to sanity. Now it's happening. Now it's reality. So when we looked at step two in this book study, we start off pretty much on page 44. And now we're on page 84. That's 40 pages, a lot of directions, a lot of twists and turns, a lot of promises, a lot of conditions, a lot of facts, a lot of tons of directions. But that's just that, we don't get it until after we do all that stuff. And it says, we seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as a hot flame, react sanely and normally, and we'll find this happen automatically. So this book, talked about, early on, it talked about the lack of kind of defense from putting your hands on a hot stove. Now they're saying if we recoil from a hot flame. It's interesting. Just a different coordination there. But, you know, just think about how much this book describes and hammers home to us that with alcohol, we're strangely insane. And now our reaction is sane and normal. I mean, really beat it over our head, which we need to hear. Now you get here, and it's like, wow. It says we see that and I always tell people underline this, new attitude, and the word attitude is all over this book. The new attitude towards liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. It just happens as a result of the work, with little effort. I mean, wait a minute, didn't I just do a big, giant 4-step or a few hour 5th step? Didn't I just make a bunch of amends? That's a lot of thought and effort, but we're not doing that. We're doing that to become, to get our mental state back, to get past the resentments and stuff. We don't come here because I need to get past this anger. We come here because we're alcoholics. Then we find out we have this allergy obsession. But then to beat it, we have to work on ourselves. So it's not like our new thought towards liquor, we're not inventorying liquor. It's an interesting aspect, but that is the miracle of it. We're not fighting it nor avoid temptation. He says it before many times, you know, think of this for a second. I said this many times before. We're all miracles. People die every second from alcoholism. People drop dead, just now. Found out a guy passed away yesterday. Um, and I always think of this a lot is I don't know about you guys. I mean, I don't know you all that well. Some of you I know, but I'm pretty sure we're all here because we have this allergy obsession. And we've all known people that have died in this program because, for obvious reasons. Why are we all still here? That's the thing is because God has a plan for us all, and I always say if miracles are unexplainable by the laws of science and, you know, is that, I guess we could say we're unexplainable by the laws of science and nature, human intelligence. We're quite different, you know. Is our life supposed to happen this way? Maybe, you know. I think it's just in the care of God. It says we feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. I love that. We have not sworn off, not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. We read the promises last week of when the spiritual malady is overcome, we strengthen mentally and physically, right? The obsession has been removed. We are recovered. This is it. If this happened, that's what they're saying here. The problem has been removed. The obsession has been removed. What blinded me my whole life is now gone. The blindfold's been taken away, so to speak. And I always think about this when I read this is if they're promising in this book the obsession has been removed, then why do people still want to say recovering? I had back surgery and it was a long road of recovering from the back surgery, first from the wound, then to get my muscles back and everything like that. When I was recovered from back surgery, guess what? I didn't want to be recovering anymore. I'm the same way here. I think when people say that recovering is, I heard many people say this, well, probably because they are. Maybe they're still fighting it. It does not exist for us. There's the answer right there. We're neither cocky nor are we afraid. This is our experience as long as we react. Look at this condition. That is our experience. That's how we react. And here's the condition: so long we keep in fit spiritual condition. And fit. I'm gonna say spit spiritual condition. Fit spiritual condition. That's it's a result of seeking spiritual within us, not out here, right? Resulting in a sense of purpose and awareness that we always had. And we stay there by continuing to do 4 through 9. And guy asked me the other day, who doesn't really understand AA at all. He goes, why do you keep doing the steps if and I said, because I want more. And it's the way it is, but because I always get a new sense of purpose, direction, and going into this last year, I had a lot, stuff I need to get past and understand more. I needed a sense of purpose, direction, goals, and awareness, and I look into this year and it's like, yeah, a lot of stuff has changed, you know, but the reason I got that is I could tell you nothing was handed to me to get those answers. Because I tell people this all the time, spiritual fitness is like physical fitness. It doesn't achieve by, staring in the mirror and hoping you're muscular or whatever. People want to be strong, but they don't want to go to the gym, or everybody wants to lose weight and they struggle going on a diet. And the reality is people want to change, but not everybody wants to go into the deep water. And I believe maintaining spiritual fitness, it's the work of a lifetime, and people want it so fast. But when we have a daily, must have a daily reprieve that's dedicated to continuous action. to perfect larger spiritual life. So these are, those are the promises. These promises are not just growth; they are promises of being recovered. And we are no longer fighting the obsession. I said that blinded us. It drove us to drink against our will, or use against our will, whatever you want to call it. It's been removed, and that's the miracle. And let's go to page 85 and look what it says here. And this is kind of a fact and a warning and maybe a little bit of a promise, where it says, it is easy to let up on spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We're headed for trouble, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We're not cured of alcoholism. We really have is a daily reprieve, potential and maintenance and growth of our spiritual condition. And I believe, this is also a warning. If we become satisfied with our, with resting on our laurels is, it comes from the laurel wreath used to put in a person's head in the old days of the Greeks and Roman, the Olympic Games. And that laurel wreath stood for, you're champion, you better work harder to maintain it. Because I try and say is we don't want to be satisfied with our recovery, when we get it, when we get recovered. We got to do some stuff to maintain and grow. Freedom's not only will it be, we experience these promises. I don't want to see, I see so many people get get loaded, but it tells us we have a daily reprieve. Well, reprieve, another word for reprieve is relief. I think of step 11. That's dependent upon the growth of our spiritual condition. So step 11 is dependent upon 10 and me getting stuff out of the way. So they work together, just like what the 12 and 12 calls unshakable foundation for life. So there's more promises on 85. And as much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and guidance from him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, we begin to sense the flow of his spirit into us. To some extent, we become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. So God consciousness, we have six, is the sixth sense, the ability to perceive beyond the five senses we have. And I could tell you from the other five senses, touch, seeing, hearing, and all that, taste, those have lied to me sometimes. Sometimes what I see is not what I see. Sometimes what I hear is not what I hear. Sometimes what I taste is not what I taste. But with God conscious, it never lies to me. The only time I don't get it is when I ignore it. It's living in 4 times a way of life. So we take this growth. So we're in this growth of step 10. We take that growth, and we're going to add, of course, more action. Keep adding the secret ingredients of more action. And we have a daily reprieve of prayer and meditation. And this leads to knowing. So that's what happens when I start getting into step 11. Even when I start to know. Anything in life is from experience. Anything else is a theory. A lot of people don't do step 11 because, oh, I tried it once. I tried meditation once, You got to experience it to know it, and then once you know, you want more. So this is all about. My friend used to always say it very well. Do you want belief or do you want knowledge? And beliefs are handed to us. Knowledge is something we receive. And promises to knowledge are on page 69. So we'll go back a little bit. So 69. And it's a beautiful one. It says in meditation, we ask. When we say ask in the book, of course, it means pray. So we've got both things here. In meditation, we pray, we ask God what we should do about each specific matter. And look at this. The right answer will come. That's a promise. Here's the condition: if we want it. That's not a hard condition. You must want it. If you're not willing, then you're not ready for that. So we're going to jump a little forward, more towards step 11, page 86. There's a lot of them on here, but I couldn't put them all. But 86 I love. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. It works. That's a promise. Look at the condition. if we have the proper attitude and work at it. Same thing as it is said a minute ago, in another way. You know, if we want it, same thing. Proper attitude and work at it. What does a proper attitude look like? I think everyone is different there, but it's not one of hostility and ego and anger. But the proper attitude is putting time into it. And I always tell people, like when I get my years of recovery, I say it's not about how much time I have, it's just how much I put into it is why I'm still breathing. So the next promises are on page 86. It says, in thinking about our day, we may face indecision, and fear. We may face fear. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration and intuitive thought or decision. And look at this. We relax, we take it easy. We don't struggle. We're often surprised. Here's more conditions. We're often surprised, as a promise, how the right answers will come after we tried it for a while. The condition of meditation, try it for a while. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But just keep trying it. The next promise to knowing is on page 87. And this is one that's just very, it just becomes more beautiful every time I read it. What used to be a hunch or occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. It's the acorn of the oak tree, the embryo to the baby. It happens automatically. It's being still and experienced and having just made conscious contact with God. It is not probable we're going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption, all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking, as time passes, we more on the plane of inspiration, we come to rely upon it. So, first this obsession is gone and we are sane. So we got a lot of stuff out of the way. And now, because of our daily reprieve of prayer meditation, is the same fashion of, misdirected instincts, the ego, dissolve and fade away. We are no longer trapped in the illusion of self, because the spirit and the mind, oneness with God, have come together. They've always been together in a sense. We're now aware of it, but we're no longer self-centered and we are other-centered. Union with God, and our thinking becomes one with God's thinking, and I call that grace. We begin to have grace, and there's a beautiful story that I've heard from years in recovery, and it's a swan on the water. And all the people are looking at the swan. Oh, look at the swan. It's so graceful. But underneath the water, it's paddling like hell to have that grace. So we turn to the image and likeness of our Creator, like I said, like the acorn to the oak tree. The acorn looks nothing like the oak tree. But inside that acorn is an oak tree. It's like, so I see an acorn, I see an oak tree. When I see you, I see God. Um, you don't, you don't see you see a person that is awakened. You just see the spirit in them. The spiritual malady has been put to rest. The illusion of separation from God is long gone. Now they have union with God. And all we're doing in step 11 is kind of plugging in the inner program and listening to it and studying it. None of step 11 will ever move you away from God. More promises to knowing on page 88. We're in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easy, for we're not burning up foolish energy as we did when we're trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works, it really does. We're alcoholics are undisciplined. So we let God, there's that word again, let God. Talk about that in 6 and 7. Are you ready to let God remove your defects? So we let God discipline us in a simple way we just outlined. So now we're experiencing mindfulness rather than our minds being controlled by fear, anger, worry, foolish decisions. Rather, the opposite of those, we have peace, we have courage, we have calmness, happiness, sane decisions. That's why we're more productive. We're walking with God. So another set of promises on page 88. It says it works. It really does. I'll stay by that mission statement. But we alcoholics are undisciplined. So we let God discipline us in the simple way we just outlined. I think I just read the same thing over again, but so by simply improving on the power we just received, we begin to know God. And we take all the facts from the powerless to power, our truth in step 4, our consciousness we got in 5, our surrender in 6 and 7, our awakening 8, 9, the growth in 10, and in the and our knowing, and we selflessly give it away, leading us to becoming an altruistic person. Altruism. Just thinking of, turning your life over to another person, helping another person without thought of anything in return. The first set of promises to being altruistic are on page 89. And from the chapter, of course, working with others, and it starts off with it. They don't mess around. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intense work with other alcoholics. It works when others' activities fail. This is the 12 suggestion, sorry. Carry this message to other alcoholics. Look at these promises. You can help when no one else can. That's a great way to look at it when you have to talk to a drunk or someone, a relative, like I did yesterday. You can secure their confidence where others fail. Remember, they're very ill. Life will take on a new meaning to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch the loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Look at this. Frequent contact with newcomers and each other is a bright spot of our lives. If someone had told me the bright spot of my life today would be sitting down with a bunch of guys and listening to their inventory, I would have thought, you guys are crazy, but now it is. It's our lives today. I mean, look at the difference. As a result of 4 through 12, life takes on a brand new meaning, new purpose and direction, new way of life. We are selflessly concerned mostly with others' needs. If you want to live the best life you can, offer your guidance to another person. Take them to the steps. Be a step guide, be a sponsor. What do you want to call it? Sponsor. Go to page 100. The next set of promises being altruistic are on page 100. And some of these aren't really promises. They sound really good, but both you and the new man, I like to say person because we're all, both you and the new person must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. Look at this promise. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. I love this. When we look back, we realize that the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hand were better than anything we could have planned. Amen. Follow the directions of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what no matter what your present circumstances. Now it's interesting. He starts with a condition, follow the dictates of the higher power, and then the promise afterwards. You'll live in a way, a new way of life. There's nothing more rewarding than just helping someone in this form. I came from a person of low self-esteem, and I was told, how do I get past that? Well, therapists told me, take this pill. Other people said, but other therapists says, this is the way you always be. I go to AA and my sponsor gives my fifth step and he goes, you're a low self-esteem person. The only thing is to get you past that ceiling, esteem will lax. I never forget what I said. It's like holding the door for people. And he goes, yeah, but also there's no esteemable act greater than sponsorship. There's nothing more rewarding, to sit down with another person, always keeps your heart just glowing. So it's just, I mean, for me, there's nothing like hearing a fifth step when a person changes in front of you. You know, to witness God. You know, we get to witness God all the time. You know, it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. You know, the only bad day for anyone carrying a message when they're not carrying a message. The only bad sponsor is a person that doesn't sponsor. The next promise of being altruistic is on page 102. All right. Your job. So here's our job now. Is to be the place where you may be of maximum helpfulness to others. And what it sounds like when it said earlier in the book, our real purpose and maximum service to God and the people about us. Your job now is to be a place where you maximum helpfulness to others. So never hesitate to go anywhere if you can be helpful. And I love this because he's going to tell us the places we should go. We should not hesitate to visit the most sordid spot on earth in such an errand. Keep on a firing line of life. With these motives, and God will keep you unharmed. When I got sober, I said I never want to go to a courtroom again. I never want to go to a rehab again. I never want to go to a detox again. And where I spend most of my time, yeah, rehabs, detoxes, and courts for people. I haven't gone into the prisons without the door slamming behind me in that same sense, you know. But it's like keep on the firing of life with these modes, God will keep you unharmed. If we keep working for God, we're unharmed. God first, others second, my needs get met. It falls into place. He will provide if we get close to him, 10, 11, and perform his work, 12. All comes together. Next set of promises are on page 124. And these are some of my favorite ones. I always keep saying they're all my favorites. Showing others, towards the middle of the page, showing others who suffer how we were given help is the very thing which make life seem so worthwhile to us now. Cling to the thought that in God's hands, that it's just so there's a condition right there. In God's hands, the dark path, the greatest possession you have. So there's a like a promise, a condition, and a promise. The key to life and happiness for others. Wow. With it, you can avert misery and death for them. Wow. You know, remember page 66 what it said? Step 4 was the key to the future. But step 4 is not only the key to the future for you, but also the key to life and happiness for others. But if think about it, I mean, if the person never does their 4th step, they never get to experience any of this. You know, when we do step 4, it's our duty to bring this to others. That's what I was told. My sponsor said in step 5, he said, I'll do this as long as you do for someone else. And I was like, oh, sure. I think I said yes because I was afraid. But we can change lives. You can avert misery and death. And for that one person that might pass away that you tried to help, there's always someone else you can help. That's the way I look at it. I had 2 friends, lifelong friends, that just would not listen to the message. And the only reason I didn't stop sponsoring was because I couldn't help them, but I can help other people. The greatest gift you can bring to a person, in my opinion, is the 4th step. It's such a key. Look at the we're gonna go to the I call them the mystery or the hidden promises. 153. So these ones just blow my mind. 153. You are going to meet these new friends in our community. Near you, alcoholics are dying helplessly like people in a sinking ship. You know, I just helped a guy the other day. He was 60 years old. Told him about AA. He goes, I never heard of it before. And we don't think that happens. If you live in a large place, there are hundreds, high and low, rich and poor. These are future fellows of Alcoholics Anonymous. Among them, you will make many lifelong friends. You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties. It's amazing. You will escape disaster together, and you will commence shoulder to shoulder in your journey. And this is the part that gets me every time. Then you will know what it means to give. I like to throw in there freely of yourself, that others may survive and rediscover life. Not discover life, rediscover life. Look what it says. You will learn the full meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself. So this process of 4 through 12, we shift from selflessness to love. We awaken that love is all we are, and we awaken to the consciousness that this whole universe is love, if we look at it that way. By simply letting go of our old ideas, what we thought we were, love takes over. And love isn't something we find outside of us. It's something we already have within us. And we remove all this crap that we held on to, all these resentments, that's what we find, that all we are is love. And we send it to the rest of the world, and it's amazing because this is a healing kind of love. We begin to live 24/7 in this place of love is life and life is love. And love is, it's like I said, it's the most powerful force in the universe, unselfish, completely unselfishly, without thought of anything in return. And it's the greatest miracle because it can heal. We can heal someone with it. And our aim is always to be selfless, not just to nourish our soul, but nourish the souls of others. And when we help someone, we get fed, and vice versa. And I always tell people, I say, I get paid every time, but I've watched a lot of people pay the price by not sponsoring. I'm going to end this with some, this part, we still got a little bit of ways to go. I'm going to end this journey through the book with some closing thoughts and promises to just kind of go up, sum it all up. We're going to go to the first one is on the bottom of page 17. And I just love these. These are just ones that make you feel good. It's almost like mission statements. The tremendous fact for every one of us is we've had discovered a common solution. We have a way out, which we can absolutely agree upon, which we can join in brotherly harmonious action. Beautiful. Let's go to the next one of these little statements, and we're going to go to page 28. It's like, I had to throw these ones in because I can't leave them out covering this book. And the first time I heard this, I was like, what? We in turn sought the same escape with all the desperation of a drowning man. I've heard a guy do a book study one time, is take the steps of the drowning man. And he asked the book study, he goes, how many people in here, anyone here almost drowned? And a few people raised their hands, and we heard some chilling aspects of it. Take the steps of the drowning man. Look at this. What seemed at first a flimsy reed, a little tiny, that kind of helped me, a little reed, has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given to us, if we prefer, design a living that really works. And we got one more of these little short ones, and it's one we have heard many, many, many times on top 58. And it's one of the key promises in this book. It's often overlooked and often not experienced. Rarely have we seen a person fail who sturdily followed our path. And this is all going to close beautiful on page 164. And I think 164 is saying, you have arrived, and it reminds us there's more work to be done. You're like, welcome to your new way of life, but you got to keep going. It says, still, you may say, but I will not have the benefit of contact with you who write this book. Well, I mean, they all moved on. We cannot be sure. God will determine that. So you must remember your real reliance is always upon him. That's a huge thing right there, because people go to meetings and they say, "You people keep me clean," and there's a love there, but if my human power can stop me from using how as a group, I got to do both. I said at the very beginning of this, you got to go to meetings and do that. It's all part of the triangle. He will show you how to create the fellowship you crave. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we only know little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. I do know, an awakened person. I don't know an awakened person that does not live in that reality. Miracles become normal. I think all of us have experiences. Ask him in your morning meditation what you do each day for the man who's still sick. The right answers will come. Here's a condition. If our own house is in order, if your life is not in order, it's impossible to even understand this stuff we're going over. It's going to be foreign sounding. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got, because all you're doing is, if the reason why we can't, like, if I'm selfish and I'm eating a bunch of food, I can't transmit that to you because I'm I'm not even thinking about it. I'm hoarding it. See that your relationship with him is right, and great events will kind of pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Beautiful promise. This is the program of recovery. There is no other program. The only requirement is a desire to stop drinking. Means you have, you can do the steps or not do the steps. But the difference is, in my honest opinion, 2 to 5% recovery rate versus 85 plus. But I tell people all the time, what's your recovery rate when people do the steps with you? They actually do the steps 100%. And they go, what? And some guy will say, well, I did the steps once. And I go, really? And they go, it didn't work for me. I said, so you did them all? And they go, yeah. And I go, did you make your amends? No, I didn't make those things. And I didn't do step 10. I didn't sponsor. Everyone that's done this to the best of their ability is still trudging the road. And the ones that trudged the road and went back out, stopped trudging the road for a minute. And they'll tell you that. But if you want this, all you have to do is get a step guide and go to it. And this fall was in this book. Follow the Old Brick Road. But this book, and only the book, is the reason why we're in this room on a Thursday night, with my coffee and my friends. But look what it says here. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. And I always say this, or as you don't understand God. Admit your faults to him and your fellows. That's all your faults. All your faults, everything. The false dreams, the ideas, look within. Admit the illusion you've been living, admit the life you've been living, and let it all go. Put it to bed. How do we do that? By clearing away wreckage of our past. Give freely of what you find and join us. So what happens is, we're moving away from the abundance of self and awaken to the fact that we are provided for, with the condition we stay close and performance work well. I love this. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit. It means they're all still here with us. And you will surely meet some of us and be friends the road to happiness. And may God bless you and keep you until then. It's like, welcome. The invisible is now visible. Bill considered our steps spiritual principles. And I believe I always close my book studies with doing this. And I've changed them over the years. I made some of them a little more crazier over the years, but he's concerned principles, and I believe there are virtues and ethical values behind each step. But a virtue is a quality and of doing what is right. Moral excellence. Ethical values is essential actions that you do, just doing the right thing that leads that. So these virtues and ethical values, I'm going to share the screen. And this is what I'm going to close with. And I'll put this up in the chat and I'll put it at my page. And so step one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives become manageable. Powerless. That's what they're telling us. They're powerless. Alcohol, we all know from what we discussed here and what we discussed, it's a deadly disease that we're powerless to overcome in our own human power. And we have to take that literally. We're powerless. It doesn't say I'm powerless over people, places, or things, or anything else. Step two, can and believe a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Hope. Hope. Step two is simply a mirror of step one. Powerless, power. If the power goes off in my house, I need power. You know, I don't want to sit here and feel helpless and hopeless that long. But step two is telling us we need to seek to seek power, and that power can restore us to sanity. The lights are off; they need to come back on, and they will. That's the hope. But I mean, some people ask me like, "What is hope?" And I always think it's the desire for fulfillment, a confidence that something can happen. When you think all is lost, there's hope. And I believe the road to recovery is built on hope. We just don't see it right away. I mean, I was talking to someone last night and he's struggling with this program and he's back in again. And I go, rock bottom's a great place to be at. You just have to you have to do these steps to realize that. Step three, made a decision to turn well over to the care of God as we understood him. Commitment. Feeling nothing significant ever happens in life without commitment. Commitment is a promise to completely dedicate and, obligate something to something, something. But you have to be ready for it. Determine your future. You become whatever you commit to. Step three is about commitment. Completely giving yourself to this program is all about that. So now we're looking at step four, made a searching for those more inventory of ourselves. So that's what I call that uncovering. Uncover. Uncover means to reveal what previously had not been known. Chuck C said it beautiful. In step four, we're uncovering the truth about ourselves. And by inventorying our harms, our fears, our sex conducts, resentments, all that stuff, and knowing those instincts, we uncover why we have them. And we see why we were driven to the thinking we were. It's mind-blowing. Step five. Admit to God to God, to ourselves, and other human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. Discover. What does discover mean? To become aware of something that previously had not been known. And that what happens when we discover something that's not been known? It leads to awareness. In step five, we discover the obstacles in our path. In four, we uncover those wrongs. In five, we discover what drove us to those wrongs. Step six, entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. Discard. This is again just what Chuck C said. We're discard in step six. And that means to throw something away. It's no longer useful. The other night I was cooked this chicken and I let that on the counter overnight and I said, I can't, I gotta get rid of this quick. And I could have left that for a week on my counter and then I get maggots and the house is gonna smell really nice. And no, I discarded that quickly. And I tried it, something that was no longer useful and it was just going to make things bad. But in five, like I said again, we discover our defects. And six, we're letting God and asking God for the strength to discard these. Let them go. I must let him. Steps are not about gaining anything. They're about losing stuff so I can be closer to God. And six and seven is the pinnacle step because, we did every step of the ability to do six. It's a pinnacle. Step seven, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. So the second we begin to let go, we're surrendering. I'm giving up control. I must let him. Ultimate trust. I'm trusting my life, handing it over. Step 8, made a list of all people we've harmed. Now, people want to stop right there. They forget this part, become willing to make amends to them all, especially forget the all part. And willingness. Many believe step 8 is only, like I just said, it's only a list. It's about willingness. I didn't know what willingness was before I got here. And it's with all the steps. But amends scares the crap out of people. And it scares people away from step 4. There's a lot of stigma that goes with it. In step 8, ask God for the strength to make amends. Ask God for the willingness to make amends. Step 9, make direct amends to such people wherever possible. Not whenever, wherever, except to do so would injure them or others. And that's repair. Repair. If I remove my defects and I start to see why I had them in especially that third column, why wouldn't I want to go out and repair stuff? Because that means to fix something back to its proper working order. And we don't, I'm going to repair it by making right with others face to face. This gives us freedom. And when we make right with others, we're also making right with God, even we don't know it yet. Sam Shoemaker says it is useless to try to get right with God when there's people we need to be right and we need to make right with at the same time. It's pretty deep. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory. We're wrong, probably admit it. The value there is continue. Spiritual growth is the essence of step 10. I'm going to keep doing a specific course of action. That's continue. That course of action is 4 through 9. In step 10, we continue the same action that awoken us. We get better at it. We got to know it more. And I discovered in step 10, I can get just as crazy as I used to be. That's why I need to do it. We continue to go further and mature more and more. Spiritually, though, it's that combination to the safe. We always know how to get back in. And I'm going to continue to make mistakes. 11, sought to prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of his will for some power to carry that out. It took me for a while. I used to say awake and this and that for this one, but then I realized improve, because I love my prayer and meditation because it changes and evolves. And improve means to make something better. If we want to improve our relationship with the person, what do? We spend time with them. That's the essence of 11. And think about, I always tell people this, think about the really strong connections you have with sponsees after you've gotten them on their way to make amends at 12. You know them, you spend so much time with them. Now we spend that time with God to improve, to change. Change is often. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening with all these steps, we try to carry his message to especially, to others, especially alcoholics. This is the original one. I don't know if I had it in there. Carry his message to others and practice these principles in all our affairs. So it was a typo in there. I put the original. Well, carry. When we carry something, we take it from one place to the next. And that's what we do with this message. I can go to Hawaii and still carry this message. I can go anywhere and carry this message. That's what started this program, 80 something years ago now. 85? Is that right? Bill knew that the faith without works was dead, and to survive, we must carry this message. So all started with 2 people, and then the third, and the fourth, and keep going. So carrying the message is the greatest love you can give, and that's exactly what the steps do. They help us face and be rid of the things that are blocking us. Not only remove the obsession, but remove self-will, the sense of us in God. And that just, and brings us to the person we were intended to be. Oops, sorry about that. So in that essence, the steps are, I said this before, I said a minute ago, they're not about gaining anything, about losing stuff. So I can have that channel. The second we start our journey, and we started our journey here in this group, our journey back home, it's all about a journey back home again. And that's the beautiful thing about it. But I always say this is, our former center of life, the obsession in some way, um, in others. Um, in other words, it shifts to this dependence upon God consciousness. And that's the beautiful place to be. Because true change consists of our ability to look deeply into ourselves by seeking into our innermost dwellings of our being. And we're because of the step work we're able to open closets that have been locked for years, and letting go we thought was unfixable and can be fixed. And we feel like we're lost, lonely, and I'm never going to be anything. A second later, you have a new reality, and you have just a beautiful thing. I mean, you feel hopeless in a blink of an eye. You feel like you're a part of life. And that kind of radical change in personality is absolutely necessary for long-term recovery. And that formula is only found in the big book. And that's how we become recovered. So until we take the action, we cannot come into full awareness of God's presence. In other words, instead of being driven by self-will and pride and self-esteem and all that stuff, we need to be driven by God. We can only be driven by God, discovering our true selves. And I close with this saying every time, and it goes back for me as a kid hearing it: only God can wake the dead. You know, but I want to thank everyone, for listening to me every Thursday. But like I said, I'm not going anywhere. It's been 5 years here on this Thursday night, but it's going to be a whole new beginning because I'll be starting a new book study called A Way Out, which is originally one of the names they thought about to call the big book. We were in the Way Outs, but I'll be doing with Lavelle J. I can't wait. Starting next week. So come check out that. So that fun, starts in 2025. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, and we'll talk for a little bit.